Hi, everybody. Today, I'm going to circle back to the day in the life of a clean real-time stenographer series. And I'm going to talk about how I got my first uh, uh, remote cart captioning job. Today, I'm going to talk about day in the life of a clean real-time stenographer, first remote cart captioning job. Returning to the series, after the hiatus that I took talking about Facebook groups for stenographers last time. Hi, I'm Carolyn. I'm a clean real-time stenographer. As I said in previous videos, I was working at 3 different junior colleges in the San Francisco Bay Area, providing on-site cart captioning when I decided to move to a different city over 100 miles away and had to transition to remote cart because I couldn't work on site anymore, or the commute would be awful. One day I saw a post in the classified section of the Journal of Court Reporting, the JCR, advertising for a remote cart position, and applied for it. All they wanted to see was a pay stub from my on-site cart job, a sample of my transcripts, and a reference letter. They didn't test me or anything. I got those together, turned them in, and I got the job. Switching from on-site cart to remote cart captioning was a big change. No longer did I need duct tape for my extension cord. I didn't even need an extension cord, nor did I need to set up and break down my equipment before and after every job. There's a tech learning curve to learn all the platforms for providing remote cart. But fortunately, the agency supervisor helped me with that. One nice thing about remote cart is that all the time that was spent driving between on-site schools for cart captioning could be instead spent providing cart and making more money. And also, when students did not show up for class, I did not waste any gas driving around to the class only to be let down emotionally and go home. I know for some cart providers, to hear that class has been canceled last minute or the student no-showed would be a happy thing because they didn't have to work and still got paid for the less than 24-hour cancellation. However, because I truly enjoyed my job, I was almost always disappointed when students didn't show up for class. Eventually, when I had such a heavy workload that having a last-minute cancellation was nice, I'd occasionally appreciate the unexpected break. The other thing that was less work for me was not having to get my parking permits or forgetting to get them and being ticketed by the meter monitor. If you are enjoying my video, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe, and share this video with your friends. One of the things I had to do for on-site cart that I didn't have to do for remote cart was spend an extra day before the semester started to do a run-through of the campus classroom locations and see where all my classes would be. I also had to find out where the bathrooms were ahead of time in case I needed to go between class, and not knowing where they were would be a problem with the short interchange of time. So it was nice to do remote cart and always have my bathroom be in my house and not have to use public restrooms or worry where they were and whether there would be a line. The other nice thing about remote CART was not having to meet your CART student in person and look through a classroom full of people and wonder who is my student, while being discreet and not outing them as being a disabled student, which they don't like. Not having to sit next to my student in person meant I didn't have to be the big, obvious billboard to the classmates that my student was deaf or hard of hearing and disabled. It meant that they could have just a computer in front of them in class and be served remotely. This is a nice thing for them because sometimes they feel embarrassed by having an adult always following them around. And the other nice thing about remote CART was the ability to work for schools all across the country. My agency supervisor taught me how to access audio using WebEx and sometimes MS Teams. He also taught me how to use the captioning input software called Rapid Text that company used. Remote CART would be a lot of technological learning curves and staying organized to switch between jobs. Because this was back in 2014 when Skype was still a thing, the instant messaging on Skype was how I got offered jobs most often. Sometimes email would be used as well. So paying attention to job opportunities meant being glued to the computer during the few weeks at the start of the semester, as I didn't have a smartphone yet until the year 2000. Yeah, I know. I was a tech phobe for many years. My dad was a computer scientist and was my tech guru who I relied on. 3 years after I started stenography school, my father passed away, and I felt like I had to step out of my tech phobe shell and learn tech skills. It was a challenge. I remember I was so afraid to switch from flip phone to smartphone that I asked two of my friends who encouraged me and said, "You're smart enough to learn how to use a smartphone." And with their encouragement, I switched in the year 2000. Now I just have to pay attention to my phone for job opportunities coming through email. I'm a Gen Xer and not a digital native. So the switch from on-site CART to remote CART was quite a leap of faith to learn new technology. But because I moved to a new city, I had to take the plunge. Okay, there was a mistake in there. I didn't switch to smartphone from flip phone in 2000. I actually didn't switch until 2020, so it was quite recent. Next time we'll talk about how I branched into having more than one remote CART agency to work for and go into a little more detail about that. Okay, stay tuned.